I don't think this is going to be the kind of team, and we've discussed this again at the beginning of the show, that we should necessarily be looking at, paper wise and salary and whatnot. Because again, this is a team that's going to be built by committee. It's going to be whoever's the best is going to play. But again, you do have a point though, Elias, that putting Drouin on the fourth line, whether on the left side or the right side, or even the ridiculous talks. And I'm sorry, and like, I mean, no disrespect to anybody in the media who've ever come of this. I have the utmost respect for everyone because we're all in the same job. But Jonathan Drouin playing center for me is a no go. That's just,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's not happening. And Sebastian, I know you agree with this, right?
Like I think that the mantra that we've heard so much recently, that Montreal doesn't have like in like a first, second, or third or fourth line, it's never going to be more true than this upcoming season. Like you're saying, like Gallagher on the third line. I think in terms of minutes, like the first three lines are going to be very similar, except for maybe the centers. I think Suzuki is going to be the number one center, but apart from that, all the wingers are going to be one game. Gallagher's going to play more. Next game's going to be Anderson. It's going to change up. I also have Drouin penned in on the first line at the left wing spot. I think he would be a perfect fit next to Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield. He is a pure playmaker, and he thrives when he's on a line with players that are on his level in terms of hockey IQ, which both Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield are.
Well, we've seen it in the playoffs 2 years ago especially against Pittsburgh, right? Like
Exactly.
him and Suzuki were connecting, man. Like, even when we got to Philly in the second round, like that, yeah, that was tape to tape all the time, and there was a lot of exciting plays there. That much I agree with you.
One of the best things about
Exactly.
Drouin to mention too is when Drouin wants to be, he's the best player on the ice. When he
Yeah.
wants to be, and when he puts in the
When he
effort.
wants to be,
So
exactly.
I feel like that's a really good point you made, Sebastian, about connecting those two. Because hey, maybe if Drouin wants to sort of take the second chance he's been given in a sense and come back and perform, who knows what could happen. So yeah, I definitely agree with that.
I just want to add one little thing because I just find this really funny because then we got Sam and Elias painting Drouin on the fourth line. Sebastian putting him on the first line. I personally am putting him on the third line in a high energy role with Jake Evans and Brendan Gallagher. And the reason behind that is because you got Evans and Gallagher who are going to take care of, they're going to take care of traffic. They're going to take care of defensive and everything, relieving that pressure on the left side because we've seen it in the playoffs time and time again. Even the fourth line, when we had Corey Perry on the ice with Eric Stahl, and Joel Armia half the time, you always have that one guy kind of cherry picking on top all the time. It's like as defensive, even on the PK for that matter. Josh, if you want to elaborate on this a little more after, there was always that one forward kind of cherry picking, and then we kind of dumped it, and he can go. And I think Drouin could be that guy who could just cherry pick, go, and then just do his thing as well. But I mean, again, the discussion again was the fourth line. And well, what do you think? I mean, it's just one of the topic of Drouin. I mean, you're the only one who hasn't spoken up on this. Like, what do you think? Like, do you think he's fourth line candidate, first line candidates, and what's your take?
Yeah, I think there's Montreal's built not like most other teams that have the clear first line and second line. And I think when looking at Montreal's lines, you have to kind of throw out the first line's going to be the best players, then the second line's second best, and try and fit the guys in where they work best with each other. Like Drouin, as you said, he plays best with high skill, high IQ guys. And I don't know, like I see the merits of putting him with a Brendan Gallagher and a Jake Evans, where they get his energy going, they get his passion going, which has been lacking in the past. But they can lack the finish and the offensive IQ more Jake Evans and Brendan Gallagher to really complement his skill set. I think we're going to have to throw out the whole hierarchy of first, second, third, fourth. And it may be Drouin's on the fourth line in quotes, but it would be the best. We'd have to find the two best guys to complement him rather than first line, second line.
Scott, final 60 seconds. What do you think?
I agree with what Joshua said about sort of the Habs not having a true first, second, third line, and I think that's actually to their advantage to be able to just run 4 lines that are all equally effective, all get the same amount of playing time. And going back to what I said about Drouin, I just want to sort of, I think it's important that we take a step back really quick and just sort of reflect on who Jonathan Drouin is, where he's come from, and what his stock is. He was a former third overall pick. He was a dominant player in the QMJHL. When he wants to be, like I said, Drouin is one of the best players on the ice. And in my opinion, when Drouin is at the top of his game, he's one of the most creative and most talented players in the league in terms of his passing ability and his hands and his skating and stuff like that. And while I do think that putting him on the fourth line and giving him sort of a lesser role to kind of let him get back into the swing of things and not have to deal with the heavy expectations would be a good idea, I'm also on the same side willing to put him on the first line to give him a chance to really prove himself and be that third overall pick and be that top player that Montreal still hasn't seen from him, and the guy that they also gave away from Mikhail Sergachev all those years ago.
I think we could all agree, guys, that anything could happen. I mean, this is one of the rare years where we have so much depth that line combinations can almost be shot by a dart on the wall and just go randomly, because we have not only that much talent, but we have the potential for an incredible amount of chemistry. And that's despite losing guys like Philip Deneau, Corey Perry, Eric Stahl, even Shea Weber for that matter, who's going to be gone for all in the next season. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time we have for this episode 2. That flew by like crazy. I want to thank everyone: Sebastian High, Scott Cowan, Joshua Rosa, Elias Laradi, and also, of course, Sam Mendelsohn, who joined us for a little bit. And thank you very much, guys. That was really, really, really fun. I want to also give a quick shout out to Shane Ivers over at silvermansound.com for his theme song, Dirty Gertie. And we will see you next week, folks, for another episode of Puck and Roll. See ya.